Hi Ronak, thanks for actually coming and having this chat with me. It's been a kind of interesting period in the BFSI industry, I would say, and I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on where do you see the trends in the BFSI industry, because post-COVID there was actually a lot of viewpoint that recession is actually going to hit. There's still talks about recession actually kind of around the corner, so that's not actually going away. And how is the industry kind of coping up with this, and what do you see both from a business perspective and from a technology standpoint?
Yeah, I think from a business perspective, one core theme that we are picking up is we want to drive velocity and velocity of change. And as we think about velocity of change, we need the right operating model that can help us drive that change. At the same time, it should be something that drives resiliency and cost takeout, because cost takeout is a big mandate across the board, right? And as you think about cost takeout and resiliency and balancing it out along with change, that operating model conversation becomes very critical, which is how do I bring my business, my data, my technology, my operations team together and look at this more holistically. So in the banking world, we're calling this as a product operating model, or in the financial services, broader capital markets, insurance, we're calling it as value stream model, where what we are talking about is we don't have to measure business and IT and other teams on their own metrics or KPIs, because a lot of those are backward looking, like, okay, what went wrong and then fixing it, versus looking at forward looking metrics of where do we want to be together. So what's the shared alignment of business and IT together? And what are those shared OKRs or objectives and key results, and how do you drive value towards that, is the core message that we're getting. And I think that translates into technology trends. Technology trends then becomes is, how do I think of my business as a platform-based business? How do I kind of manage the SaaS sprawl that is happening around me? How do I then kind of do rationalization of suppliers to manage that? Then where should the talent be and where should be the work happening is the next question people are asking us. So I would say one key element is this shared alignment and this operating model. Everything is flowing from it is how we are looking at it, be it growth initiatives around wanting to launch new products. If you don't have business data IT alignment, you're not able to drive that velocity of change. If you're thinking of compliance areas and you're trying to reduce your overall compliance expenses, or trying to adapt to the evolving regulations, be it what's happened throughout the payments world with ISO 20022, which is now what is happening with CFPB 1033. Again, a lot of these activities will continue to play out. So from that vantage point, this operating model is at the center of how things are operating.
No, I think very, very valid points that you've brought forward. What we are also seeing from our vantage point is, if I look at it from a business perspective, there's a lot of focus on the asset and wealth management part of the business in the banking space.
Yeah.
I see a lot of actually innovation and transformation happening in the payments, cards and payment space. And there is a lot of focus there on the digital experience in terms of that innovation and actually kind of being the disruption. I also actually see a lot of transformation that is actually coming up in the retirement space. Because the systems actually are having a lot of legacy. There's a technical debt. There are a lot of products that they want to kind of launch. They're finding that the agility is kind of coming to question the speed at which they can actually move across.
Yeah.
And if I look at the insurance industry, I see that pretty much all these segments, whether it is life and annuities, whether it's PNC, or whether you look at it from a reinsurance or specialty insurance, I see a uniform pattern in terms of, as you mentioned, cost takeout, yes, because that industry has always been looking in terms of actually a slightly conservative perspective to funnel the transformations to some cost takeout. So cost takeout is definitely there, but I do see a lot of actually push on the digital journey. And when I say digital journey, it's not just the cloud adoption, but it's actually the experience part, which came to light during the COVID time when this industry really saw a leap of transformation happening. So I do see this kind of dimensions happening. But then also building on what you touched upon is on the regulatory and compliance space. I think a lot of focus on the fin crime area that you have been also actually kind of talking. I've followed a few conversations that you have actually had. And I think the focus on fin crime, whether it's actually the digital identity part, or whether it's actually the other parts of actually the facet, are all gaining momentum. And the third aspect is the advent of actually the entire AI, Gen AI, which is also actually catching up. So I see these kind of trends, which is very similar to what you actually kind of mentioned. Now, definitely a technology partner like TechM, with the strategy that we have, both from a perspective of scale at speed, which brings the agility part, but also the suite capabilities that we have in terms of the infrastructure technology to kind of do the cost takeouts out there and then do the transformation, fits well in terms of actually what our clients are looking for.
Yeah.
But if there is a challenge that you feel the tech industry needs to be ready to kind of overcome, what would that challenge be?
So I would say the big challenge right now is challenge of differentiation. So if you look at it, if you think about 20 years back or 15 years back, in the services industry, it was very easy to understand. I have an infrastructure partner. I have somebody who's my applications partner, my core banking partner, my core insurance tech partner. You had these swim lanes, and you would not go wrong because you had an option of 4 to 5 suppliers who you would be choosing from. I think that is not the case anymore. This ecosystem has is expanded, like, it's at an amazing scale, but at the same time, no single service provider or technology provider is doing just one thing, swim lane, they're doing multiple things. And that's where I think the big challenge is going to be about holistic specialization, because you need specialization, but you need like an end-to-end capability specialization. And what I mean by that is, as you said, retirements as a business, we are seeing, like, again, US, right, $3.4 trillion market, right? It's huge.
Absolutely.
If you think about retirements, right, you have to now create holistic specialization and retirements, and the conversation cannot be about IT modernization, data, mainframe, and other things. It has to be about, how do I think about policyholder life cycle, right? Or plan participant life cycle, right? Let's use the correct terminology, like the plan participant life cycle. What are the different experiences they need? And how do I work with the plan sponsor, the record keepers, and others to drive that experience? So that becomes the holistic specialization. Are you a partner for that? Similarly, on the compliance side on retirements, right? Are you the partner for, just say, doing a bit of an reporting work, right? They have a lot of risk reporting that they need to do, or they need to do a lot of calculations on the portfolios. Can you do that piece? So I would say specialization and holistic specialization, where you can do the entire stack, as you mentioned, infrastructure, data, applications, and the process, and deliver that with the right domain and client context, is going to be the big challenge. And I think the ability to do that is going to differentiate who succeeds in the market, the ones versus who becomes more commoditized.
Absolutely. And I think just to add on to what you actually said, what I'm also actually seeing is that while these are all transformations that actually organizations want to bring in, they are also actually very, in terms of, one is the funding that is required, but second is actually the success that they can actually see across these initiatives to support the business.
Yes.
So what I'm actually seeing is they want to keep their current systems as it is, but build a parallel system to kind of cater for the additional or the new business that will actually come in. So whether it's actually retirements or whether it is actually payments or whatever,
yeah.
I'm actually kind of seeing that trend. And in that journey, as you rightly said, it's not about, if I look at retirements, it's not about record-keeping transformation. It's about record-keeping transformation and looking at actually the digital experience that can be brought in. And that digital experience can then be an overarching kind of layer across the old and the new world,
Yes.
So that's what I'm actually kind of looking at. So great to get perspectives which are there from the industry standpoint. Maybe a final point to kind of close this conversation and to get your viewpoint. Where do you think actually the North Star is going to be for the BFSI industry,
So I would say, from a North Star perspective, for financial service as a whole, I would say BFSI as a whole has always been around new business model innovation. And when we talk about business model innovation, it's about product innovation, it's about channel innovation, experience innovation, process innovation, and the ability to kind of package all of this up together in a commercial innovation. And I think that's what we are starting to see now, which is, yes, I have a deposits account, I have a payments offering, I can have a point of sale merchant offerings and all of those things. How do I continuously evolve the product? then how do I think of the way I'm selling these products, the channels that I'm looking at, and then the experiences that I'm creating for the end customer, because this is not just a B2C, it's a B2B and a B2B2C world also. And then within that, how do I do innovation in terms of the process? Because one of the things we're seeing is, okay, the way we were doing some of these processes, we may no longer want to do it. Given the impact of AI and other things that is coming our way, we can do these processes more effectively. And then the commercial model, how do I get value for my business and my shareholders, but at the same time create value for the end customers becomes very critical. So we are seeing that to be like the big North Star. And that's why it's not a North Star, it's like a continuously evolving journey is what I would say. And I think that's what we are looking at. A new business model innovation is my core theme of how do you drive that. And it's hard. It's hard because we are in a heavily regulated environment.
Correct.
We also have a lot of issues in terms of legacy systems, not having the right data in place. So these decisions also are harder to take. And I think that's where the creativity of the industry will be very important, is how do I drive that entire product life cycle, be compliant, but at the same time able to kind of take that velocity of change, which we started the conversation. So just to wrap it up, if you need that velocity of change, the reason you need it for is new business model innovation.
And I think you summed it up very well. And organizations like TechM, what we are doing is, in order to kind of be able to service our clients who are actually looking at that kind of a transformation and that kind of a journey, we are building capabilities, like for example, the digital engineering capability. I think we've got solid kind of digital engineering capabilities within our organization to support the entire product life cycle that you were actually talking about. And there's a mix of the traditional horizontal services and specialized services that we are actually kind of building in our repository of offerings, because we're seeing that clients more and more want that, and that is how we will be able to kind of service them and add value to their transformation journeys.
Yes.
Ronak, as always, a very fascinating conversation. Thank you for your viewpoints, and look forward for our conversations going forward.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you.